Why am I putting myself through this? My feet are in agony, and every step I take feels like I'm walking on hot coals. And oh, my hips, I feel like they need to end the torture. And my fingers, they're the size of waterlogged hot dogs. My heart just keeps telling me, you gotta keep going. Only 5 more kilometers. You've got this, Nikki. This was my physical state, ending my very first 100-kilometer kidney march. Now, when you think of journeys, you tend to conjure up open roads of possibility as almost mythical paths to be taken. But this journey I was on with this march was very real, and every step I took was shaping my own personal journey. Today, I want to share with you the pivotal moment in my life where I discovered that I could connect my drive for personal health with that of a community. There is a South African term described as Ubuntu. It is the belief of a universal bond of sharing that connects all humanity. And I personally believe that this entire experience personifies this term. It states, I am because we are. Our collective health impacts our individual health. And in my effort to improve myself physically, I discovered that I could improve the emotional and the financial well-being of a charity, namely the kidney disease community. Now, we don't often think of the kidney, not unless something happens to it, right? But it is a humble organ, and yet it does an immense amount of work. According to the Kidney Foundation of Canada's website, it educates us on 3 essential things that the kidneys do for our bodies. 1, it adjusts the levels of water and several minerals. 2, it removes waste products, as we all know. And 3, it regulates blood pressure, red blood cell production, and calcium imbalance in your bodies through hormones being circulated in the bloodstream. Unfortunately, kidney disease is very common. Did you know that kidney disease and kidney failure is one of the top 12 leading causes of death in Canada? Can you guess the leading cause of kidney failure? Well, if you're thinking diabetes, you are actually right. 1 in 10 Canadians suffer with chronic kidney disease every day. There are 100 people in this room. That could be 10 of us. The amount of Canadians living with end-stage kidney disease today has risen over 35% in the last 10 years. That, my friends, is a deplorably high number. Good health has been on my radar since I was in my early teens. My lifelong ambition to maintain a young health age started out pretty figuratively. I grew up in a smoking home with baby boomer parents. Now, we didn't understand the concept of the impact of living the way we did. There were no rules against smoking around children. Fast food and TV dinners, you remember those, were every night. And seatbelts, they were optional. Frankly, I'm quite surprised that families survived the 20th century. But fast forward to 2017. My sister-in-law approached me and asked if I would like to join her on a 10-kilometer training walk. Now, she was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, and she was living with very low-functioning kidneys at this time. And incidentally, a year later, they finally removed both of her kidneys at the same time. Each were the size of footballs, weighing nearly 5 pounds. Despite living with 10% function at that time, she was determined to walk the entire 100 kilometers, and she wanted a walking partner. Her kidneys were full of cysts, and she was in pain every day, and yet she wanted to do her part for the cause. and that inspired me to join up alongside her. Now, when you tell your friends and family, I'm going to walk 100 kilometers over 3 days, yeah, their expressions on their face pretty much tell you exactly what they think about that grand idea. And little did I know just how daunting it was going to be. So I trained. And I kind of thought, it's just walking. I'll be fine. One step at a time and it'll be over before you know it. And I trained 15, 20, 25 kilometer walks, up hills, in the rain, anything I could do to get my body ready for the onslaught it was going to do in September. And I even managed to achieve my fundraising goal within about 6 weeks, thanks to the tremendous support from my friends and my family. That made me all the more determined to walk the entire 100 kilometers. Now, the Kidney March is a big event. And the people that get involved are and they turn into a family that trains together. They support each other's fundraisers. They're there for advice and tips. And most importantly, for a shoulder to lean on. This family understands that the march is not just about money, awareness, and walking. It's about building connection through struggle. Now, of course, I didn't realize this at the time. I was just trying to be healthy and active. But the journey I went with this cause helped me move forward from one of activity-focused to that of empathy and advocacy. Now, day 1 finally arrives. 34 kilometers are scheduled for that day. And I arrived and oh my gosh, I was so overwhelmed, but not in a bad way. It was so much fun, so motivational. There were so many people to walk with. They shared their amazing stories and the reasons why they were doing this walk. There were vans driving by every few minutes, honking their horns, cheering out the windows to cheer us on. And the best part, they also had volunteers at every pit stop, dressed in costumes. And they were ready with their hands up with a high five, congratulating us when we arrived at each pit stop to say, good job, well done, you're almost there. And at each pit stop, which is what I think is the best part, is that there was a sign that said 4.4 kilometers to the next stop, 3.3 kilometers to the next stop. It was ingenious because now we weren't focusing on the 34 kilometers we had to do that day. We're only focusing on those next few kilometers. That made the day go by so much faster, way easier to assimilating and do. My sister-in-law and I made it to the finish line for day 1. Got our picture taken, of course, because that was a big moment. And then I went and I flopped on my back to wait for the bus to get back to camp. Yeah, okay, I discovered that was a bad thing because I couldn't get back up onto my feet to get back to the bus. But the feeling I had was absolute euphoria. The feeling of what I just accomplished was absolutely amazing. Sure, I was in agony, but no doubt not unlike my sister-in-law with her condition. And day 2 finally arrives again. 39 kilometers scheduled for the second day. And we woke up with a little more understanding of what we were going to go through. Well, again, the camaraderie and the support was absolutely amazing. And it made me feel like I could do anything. My sister-in-law and I arrived at day 2's finish line with 15 minutes to spare. It was a long day and we were exhausted. And we really just wanted to go back to our trailers to sleep. But the Kidney March, again, puts on such a great event that at the end of each walking day, there's karaoke, there's massage tents, there are stretch tents, anything to keep us together, socially active, and motivated to carry on to the next day. And the next day did come, but only 27 kilometers to go. Piece of cake compared to the last 2 days, let me tell you. But I was inexplicably tired. My feet were definitely in agony, and my fingers were the size of waterlogged hot dogs. I wish I had pictures. But as I looked around me, every single person had the biggest smiles on their faces. We all walked together to that final finish line, and at the end, we embraced each other fiercely. Some of us cried our hearts out. It was humbling to understand that what we had just gone through 3 days, only 3 days of agony and endurance, was nothing compared to what kidney disease sufferers go through on a daily basis. We walked and we learned together, united by a common goal. Now you're probably thinking, why should I care? Well, people don't get involved merely because they're not asked. So I'm asking, care, get involved, walk, skip, pogo jump, crawl, do whatever you can in your own way, but just do. For what are we here for if not to walk together in our interconnected journeys? Sure, probably all different, but all linked. I've now walked the Kidney March 3 times. Oh yes, I went back for more. But it not only built my endurance, it built my capacity and my ability to empathize and care. The march is way more than that, and it took me on a journey far more distant than 100 kilometers. It took me on a journey to understand myself and to care deeply for others. So I say, bring on the sore feet, sore hips, and the funny-looking fingers. But my motivation and my resilience is finely tuned. But my advocacy for others has never been stronger.